Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Well, more precisely, we'll talk about the updated vehicle driving and combat. In the previous gameplay video, as well as a deep dive, we didn't get a chance to see a lot of driving, especially in different parts like the Badlands and Night City itself. And for me, driving in, previous gameplay videos we saw was a bit stiff. I was afraid to see how the cars will operate, how they will drive, steer, brake, accelerate, and on the gunplay side, I was worried that shooting will either be too stiff or way too arcadey. But I'm happy to say that my fear is now gone because of a couple of things I will talk about. First off, driving. In this scene, you have the Quadra Turbo R, and all of a sudden take a look at one thing. How vehicle collides with other objects. Usually when vehicles are more sturdy and when physics are more stiff, you wouldn't have this bounce. The vehicle would stop, or it would brake or something like that, and it wouldn't be this, how would I say, continuous. And the reason why I say this is because whenever you have this sort of a physics, this allows you to also drift, allows you for a better steering, better driving, and because it's accompanied by amazing sound design in the background, I am sure that driving is going to be enjoyable and definitely up to standard. Quadra itself achieved 105 miles per hour, which is about 170 kilometers per hour or 169. So that kind of gives you the sense of what speeds are going to be able to be achieved. But I am not sure if this is the fastest that Quadra can go. We won't know until we play the game, but it didn't seem like it. Besides that, we saw different types of vehicles. The first one from the Nomad pad, the vehicle is pretty bent up, so I expect this one to only be the starting vehicle and Quadra to be the main one until we get something else. And in one case, we saw what it feels like to go inside a luxury vehicle like Rayfield Erudite, where we can use the hack lock to boost the car itself. We sadly didn't drive it, but it seems that we can use this hack lock on cars that we want to snatch. This is 2077 after all, and usual lockpicking or putting a small metal object between the door window doesn't work anymore. One thing which stood out for me was the car interior. The level of detail in them is insane, and I like how each interior has a different vibe, different light, and just different overall design, making them unique. And on top of that, Rayfield has a cool thing with the windows where I guess car becomes bulletproof pretty much. As we can see from the controls, we have the combat mode that we can use if someone comes after us. That's when V can go out of the window and vehicle I guess goes into autopilot. Sometimes Jackie will be on the other side driving, but you are equipped to fight even alone. And you will be able to call your main vehicle like you called Roach, so even if you want to switch vehicles in the middle of nowhere, it won't be a problem. Now for the sad news. I know a lot of people will be disappointed to hear this, but there is no vehicle customization. You will be able to find various tuned up vehicles and drive them and own them, but as a player, we won't be able to change the parts and let's say everything around it. I didn't expect this because when we popped the hood and how he bypassed the coupling and rigged the hot wire, I thought, hey, we're gonna have a very detailed customization, but it's not going to be there, so no. And I'm okay with this, somewhat, because of the amount of cars that are in the game. And in the end, if people really want it, there could be a way to add it via mods, but again, I don't know if that will be possible. Regarding how vehicles react to shooting at them, they will go on fire and they will explode. So the age-old question, what will happen to the car if I shoot it long enough in this game? Well, it explodes. Now let's go to my other favorite thing, and that is combat. I've seen enormous level of improvement when it comes to gunplay. In the previous builds we had going all the way from E3 gameplay and then the deep dive video, shooting was okay, but it never felt really complete. But when you get a chance to see the longer gameplay of this, like I'm showing it to you right now, you can see that the animation and movement of the gun has improved. It doesn't feel stiff anymore and it's more natural. In the gameplay, before we go and storm the Maelstrom hideout, we are able to analyze the target and see possible weaknesses. Then, if you want, you can quick hack the target by using detonate grenade, comms noise, overheat, ping, weapon malfunction, and breach protocol. I'm sure that also quick hacks that we have are the ones we have equipped. There are other hacks like the hammer, etc. that we saw before, but if we actually want to use them, we have to visit the Ripper dock and actually have them installed, or find them. In the bottom left corner we have the Reflex Booster and Grenades. By activating a Reflex Booster, you are also able to use abilities like the Kareznika, which is that bullet time we saw before in the older gameplay. Some of the weapons we are able to use is first the Crusher with a scope on it. The detail of the weapons does look insane. You can also throw grenades and they will have a visible outline of the spread of damage, and you can kind of see how like actual explosion is going to look like and what damage it's going to cause. Then another gun we took out was the Genesis 1924, which is funny because in the Bible it says, "Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens." Interesting name for a gun. Now the feeling I got from shooting was that ADS felt natural, movement felt good, and you can even hear the crackling sounds of the metal of the gun, which is definitely, increases the immersion, and good recoil and kickback will be there, so guns won't feel cheap when you shoot them. There are a lot of damage pop-ups when you shoot. If you don't like this, there will be an option to remove it in the UI menu, don't worry about it. I also guess most of the stuff that UI has, you will be able to hide, like you were able to do it in The Witcher 3. Of course, different areas of the body deal different damage, the sound of the gun feels packed and reload animations look satisfying. I like this feedback people give away when you shoot them, more than I did with the deep dive, so they definitely worked on that part. Now what about melee or hand-to-hand combat? Well, we saw a little bit of a katana gameplay. You can actually reflect bullet, it seems, and katana combat was decent. I wasn't expecting chivalry combat anyway, because of the formula of gameplay is different, but I can't really say if I like it or not until I see more, because this was a couple of seconds, but it was enjoyable. We also have the Mantis Blades combat. It does insane amount of damage, and well, there will be gore and all of that stuff. Also, look at this electricity here on the Mantis Blade. This might be the updated version of the blades themselves. Next up is hand-to-hand. At first I wasn't sure what to think about it, but after watching the gameplay the second time, I kinda dig the hand-to-hand combat. It's important and the punches connect and they have a certain feedback. Now, how the guy reacts when being punched and how he defends himself and then goes for a quick jab, I didn't like the damage numbers here, but everything else I really enjoyed it. We are still not sure if this is the final version of melee combat. Again, this is work in progress. There is so much more to polish and optimize because this is RPG first. Hand-to-hand is just one of those elements, but it was okay. It wasn't standing out as bad, which is definitely good. So that's pretty much it regarding the combat and driving. Next time we'll talk about the light and graphics, since there is so much I noticed which I think will be really cool to bring up. And generally, I enjoyed everything I had seen. There is definitely a lot of improvement, and again, this is still work in progress. I can't wait to see more katana gameplay, because from a couple of seconds you can't really judge it, so I want to see more. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, click that like and subscribe button for more, and tell me down below what you think about this. Also join our growing community on Twitter and Discord. I made a Patreon page. If you were looking for an extra way to support the channel, you can do it through there, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and stay classy everyone. Bye bye.